So we'll move on to the next driver, and that's Jacques Villeneuve. And he's a polarising opinion, I think, Jacques. And so what are your thoughts on Jacques, Nick?
Yeah, so I think for me, I've always been a fan of him on track, and I think his demeanor, some of the things he says, and just even, as time goes on, I think we bake that into the cake in terms of the kind of driver Villeneuve was. But as a young talent coming in, and again, he's got a good car, he's got Damon's car, so he's got his rookie season is something that we've talked about before as well. Like that rookie season is something that even you obviously know about, but you don't until you actually look very, very closely. It's incredibly impressive because he doesn't drive like a rookie in Formula One. He's got 4 wins and 11 podiums that first season. Again, a great car, but he's losing to the world champion, and it's not as if he's off the podium much after that. He's got 2 out of the points finishes, 2 off the podium or 3 out of the points finishes, and then 3 retirements. So that first season he's coming out the gates storming. So the second he steps into the number 1 seat, it becomes pretty evident that he's going to be a title favorite, and he obviously does that with 7 wins. Yeah, 7 victories, which is impressive on its own. So everything off track aside, it's really hard to deny the fact that he's quick. Now, I think coupled with the fact of how he's portrayed, or at least just how he carries himself, not portrayed because it's not all unfair, he never really got another car after that. He's got the SuperTech engine, the Honda engine with Lucky Strike, the Lucky Strike branded BAR. So he's got a bevy of retirements that next season in 1999, and once you get to those kinds of numbers where you're just retiring after retiring and you're failing to even win a race, it becomes difficult to actually justify someone who may be difficult on the grid and also someone who's not getting race results. And that's when I go back and I compare that and contrast it to Mansell, who can leave, have a tough season, go to Ferrari, have still kind of a tough season, and come back and win a world title. I think that's really rare, and I think that speaks volumes to your likability on the paddock. And I think that that wasn't he did himself no favors there, but I think that's the kind of person he was, and it made him the person who came out his rookie year and win, because he is a hard-nosed driver and a no-nonsense kind of person. But he never really played ball, he never really played politics, which I think depending on your cup of tea, that may be okay. And being in a tough era where there's a lot this changeover from the 97 Concords, 98, and even more change with Ferrari taking over in the 2000s, that's a tough time to be a driver and meander your way into a top seat, because really the top seat is taken by Barrichello, by Schumacher. So for me, it was a tough time to drive. He got his title in, and I think he did it at the perfect time, because anything after that, he didn't really stand a chance leaving in 2006.
I completely agree with Jacques in terms of, he is a talented driver, and again, I think, with a few of these guys, you feel you have to defend them, to go, look, these guys are world champions, so they're talented drivers, and what he did before coming into Formula One was impressive, being an IndyCar champion at so young, winning the Indy 500, a challenging race in itself, so young. And that rookie season, to put it in perspective, a lot of people, when we spoke about this the first time round, rate Lewis Hamilton's as the best rookie season ever. And well, he only equaled the records set by Jacques Villeneuve in that 96 season, where he won, 4 races, and he became the only rookie in the history of the sport to finish second in the championship. And, that can't be taken away from him. And yes, 1997 again, the Williams was the best car on the grid. And it was, the best car for Williams, since 1997. They haven't quite reached the heights since then, after Adrian Newey left for McLaren. But what he achieved in that car and that fight, and he was a no-nonsense racer, and like Damon, he fought Michael. He wasn't prepared to kind of just let him kind of bulldoze through. He was willing to fight for it, and he earned his right as championship. Yes, for the things he came out, he's a polarising opinion in terms of some of the things that Jacques says, you know, you don't agree with, but you don't have to necessarily agree with or like the bloke to kind of have to recognise his talent, that he was a top driver. He had what would probably later I'd call Fernando Alonso syndrome in terms of going to teams at the wrong time. And like you said, it never quite worked out for him after that, and he never got a car after that was capable of winning a championship. And that's probably where it's reflected. That's where it taints the memory, because it happened so early in his career, and he had so much of a perceived decline afterwards that people will kind of note it as a fluke. But I don't think you can ever fluke a Formula One World Championship, and unfairly looked at, but a very worthy driver and part of the conversation, of course.
If you enjoyed that little snippet of the podcast, you can check out the full thing with a link to the video in the description down below. And if you do like what we do on this channel, don't forget you can subscribe to the channel. You can click that bell notification to keep up to date with all our latest content. Comment down below with what you thought on this one, and don't forget to drop a thumbs up on the video if you liked it. But for now, you F1 fans, keep racing.